I guess this might be my last time at the sauna for a while. It's quite a while until I get paid for my part-time job.
My name is Tom Johnson. I'm a struggling comedian. I do a comedy skit live once a month and work tirelessly at a part-time job to make ends meet. I've been aiming to be a successful comedian, but even after 10 years in this industry, I haven't made a name for myself. So, I even considered quitting. And right now, something is happening, right before my eyes.
Please, let me go in. I want to look nice and be a little more clean because I'm going to see my grandson.
That's not possible. You don't have enough money to go in. You can't go to the sauna if you can't pay. There seems to be some dispute between the clerk and the old man at my usual sauna I go to.
Excuse me, is something wrong?
Oh, Mr. Johnson, this man keeps insisting on going in without having to pay for the fee. It's been a hassle. The old man looks down sadly. The fee for the sauna is $10. Even though it's a significant amount of money for me right now, seeing the old man made me want to help him. I discreetly paid the clerk for both of our fees.
I'll cover for his fee as well. It's hard for me to go in too when there's a commotion right in front of me.
The old man lifted his face, and upon seeing me, widened his eyes in surprise before speaking.
Are you sure? I feel bad about this. It's okay if you pay me back later. Besides, there must be a reason that you want to go into the sauna today, right? Yes, actually, that's true. I'm sorry, but I'll take your word for it. Please, let me thank you later.
Then, please tell me why you wanted to go into the sauna today while we go in together.
Consider that as a way to thank me. So let's have a chat, shall we?
I smiled warmly at the old man who gave a small nod in agreement. I felt a bit guilty towards the old man, but a part of me thought that this could be a nice comedic story to tell to the audience. It's not common to see someone pleading with the clerk to let him in when he doesn't have the money. However, the reason the old man gave was unexpected.
By any chance, are you going to meet someone after this? Yes, that's right. Actually, my grandson is a comedian, and I finally got a ticket to his live show. So I'll be able to see his performance. I wanted to clean up before watching the comedy, but I lost my wallet. I just reported it to the police and I only had $3 left with me. I didn't have my card either. I didn't think it would be good to watch my grandson's first live performance without cleaning myself up.
I see.
The bath at my house was broken, so I've been coming to this sauna for a while.
That must have been tough. To think that I'd be helping an old man who has a grandson who's also a comedian like me? And the world is such a small place.
What kind of comedian is your grandson? He doesn't seem to be very popular, but this will be my first time actually seeing him.
Seeing him for the first time? That caught my attention. Seeing one's own grandson for the first time? What could that mean? Is there a deeper story behind it?
My grandson's stage name is Taylor. His real name is Tom Johnson.
The old man smiling gently while gazing at me caught me off guard.
What? Taylor? Wait, that's my stage name. Huh? Is this some kind of joke?
I couldn't close my mouth from the shocking revelation.
I'm sorry, I'm just taken aback. What exactly are you saying? Well, this is certainly a surprise. I never imagined I'd meet you here before your show.
The old man's eyes widened in amazement. I was completely flustered.
What? What do you mean? And I was raised by my mother. My maternal grandparents have already passed away. Please, calm down. It's understandable that you're surprised. I never thought I'd meet you here either. And by the way, I'm not your mother's father.
Wait, so you're my paternal grandfather?
Yes, that's right. I had quite a hard time searching for you. My son, your father, eloped with your mother before you were born.
Eloped? As if the sudden appearance of my grandfather wasn't shocking enough, now I was hearing the unheard story of how my parents met for the first time, and I was in a complete shock. Perhaps because of our loud conversation, a few customers were glaring at us. I forced a smile, excused ourselves, and continued to question the old man.
Hold on. So if I understand this correctly, you're my grandfather from my paternal side, And you've been looking for my father, who eloped with my mother? Yes. Oh, look at the time. I'd love to discuss this in detail, but you have your show today, right? Could we possibly continue our conversation after I've seen your performance? Yes.
My head was spinning from the unexpected turn of events, and the next thing I knew, I was being overwhelmed with anxiety. What's going on? This is unbelievable. And with all these unresolved feelings, can I really perform a skit? A few hours later, after lending the old man some money and promising to meet again later, I attempted my skit.
Were you nervous? It was funny, but something was a bit off. Oh, is that so?
The feedback from the old man was quite unexpected. I admit I might not have given it my all, but how can anyone expect me to perform calmly after such a shocking revelation?
I'm sorry to ask you again, but are you really my grandfather? I've never met any of my father's relatives, and even if you say so, it's all so sudden and hard for me to grasp. I completely understand how you feel. What would you think if you saw this?
What? What's this photo? The old man showed a single photograph. The child in the photo was a spitting image of me when I was young.
This is a photo of my son, your father, when he was little. Doesn't he look exactly like you?
He does.
They're identical.
Being shown such a photograph, I felt compelled to acknowledge the possibility that this man might indeed be related with me.
But why now? My father passed away soon after I was born. I saw you on TV and recognized you as my grandson immediately. You have such a resemblance to my son, so I took the liberty to find out more about you.
In my early days as a comedian, I appeared on TV auditions to win New Talent Awards several times, but I always got eliminated at crucial moments. Apparently, the old man saw one of those shows and noticed my uncanny resemblance to my father. Still, I didn't know how to wrap my head around my grandfather's sudden appearance. My father was virtually non-existent, and my mother is no longer with us. I've never even met anyone I could call grandparents before.
Would it be alright if I visited your home? I'm curious to see how you live, Tom. Well, my place is small and old. Not really something I'd typically show to guests. Oh, that's fine. Huh?
Despite what I said, I led the old man to my home, filled with a sense of unease. My apartment is a rundown place without a bath. The rent is cheap, but still, my financial situation is not so stable. I live so frugally that I can hardly save anything. I felt so embarrassed to show him my room.
Wow, this place looks a lot like where I live. I also have just one room in my place.
What? Such an unexpected response came from the old man.
Are you, by any chance, facing financial difficulties? No, not really. I actually find smaller spaces easier to manage. I don't have to move around as much. I live off my pension and try not to dip into my savings. Don't worry, I have a decent amount saved up. I see.
Even so, I couldn't help but wonder if he was truly related to me. As these thoughts ran through my mind, the old man began to speak with a hint of loneliness in his voice.
When I'm at my family home, I often feel lonely thinking about my family. My wife passed away due to an illness. The house is fairly large, but it feels uncomfortable being there alone.
Listening to the old man's story made me curious about that house. I wondered what kind of place my father had grown up in. And why did my mother run away with my father? There's so much I really don't know.
Why did my parents elope? Well, that's largely my fault.
The old man chuckled weakly. He began to slowly explain what had happened between them. The old man's family had been wealthy for generations, and my father was expected to be the heir to the family. However, my father fell in love with my mother at an early age. What's more, my mother was the daughter of a maid who worked as a live-in employee at their house back then.
I've never heard this story before. Oh, it was quite a shock back then. Both my family and your mother's family were against their relationship because of their different social statuses.
Frustrated by the family's opposition, they decided to elope. Apparently, my mother's parents, who had worked for a long time as servants, felt responsible. and resigned from their jobs. The old man searched desperately for them, but he couldn't find them.
Wow, I can't believe that. I mean, it's weird to say this, but my parents really managed to get away, didn't they? Later on, I had a detective agency look into it. It seems they lived abroad for a while. And after my son passed away, only your mother came back here.
I can't help but question if this is really my family's story. However, this old man had a childhood photo of someone who looks exactly like my father. He must truly be my grandfather. After all, there's nothing he could gain from deceiving me.
A few years ago, my wife passed away. I lost my family that stood by my side. I was tired of living a mundane life all by myself. That's when I happened to see you on television and couldn't believe my eyes. I tried reaching out to your agency, but they probably thought I was some suspicious person and didn't respond to my request. Well, it's understandable, isn't it?
I stared intently at the old man's face as he laughed heartily. It seems I really am this man's grandson.
I had a private investigator trace your mother's steps, and through them I found out where you currently live. That's why I moved close by.
So, when you said your bath was broken...
That was actual truth. I've been wanting to meet you ever since I saw your comedy skit.
Is that so? Listening to the old man, I felt a strange emotion. Was it mere coincidence that brought us together?
Oh, right. There's something I'd like to ask of you.
What is it?
Would you accompany me to visit my son's grave?
A few days later, we went together to the suburban cemetery where my parents were buried. As the old man looked upon my parents' graves, he looked very sad, and he clasped his hands in prayer.
I never thought you'd leave before me. I truly regret not approving of your marriage. I won't ask for forgiveness. I just want to say thank you for leaving my grandson, Tom, in this world.
He smiled warmly and shared our story with the graves of my parents. He mentioned leaving his inheritance to me, but I politely declined. I now cherished the old man as family. I couldn't accept what my parents had left behind, but we planned to live together in the future.
Would you like to go to that sauna again? Let's refresh ourselves. Sounds good. Oh, by the way, I have some feedback about your recent live performance. Oh no, you're going to be tough on me, aren't you?
He gave a wry smile at those words. After talking, it turned out that the old man was quite a comedy enthusiast. Apparently, he even used to write comedy scripts as a hobby in his younger days. His advice is always spot on, and I receive it daily.
Oh, that's right. I still haven't repaid you for the sauna fee. I'll cover today's cost.
It's all right. Consider that a fee for our unexpected meeting.
In that case, I should definitely pay you back even more.
The old man gave a warm smile.
Well, in that case, I'll gratefully accept.
And I also smiled back at him. Since then, I reflected back on my comedic style based on the old man's advice. Slowly but surely, I gained popularity and got invited to more comedy shows. While working part-time jobs, I continued to focus on my comedy skits and were able to win several small awards. The old man was genuinely delighted for me.
Congratulations! I'm truly happy for you.
Yes, thank you. It's all thanks to the advice you've given me.
No, I'm just glad I could contribute, even a little, to my grandson's work.
The old man smiled. Who would have thought that this would be the last time seeing such a gentle expression from the old man? At the time, I never imagined it. A few months later, the old man had passed away. When we first met, it seemed he wasn't in the best health, but he seemed to have kept that from me. Even then, he made the effort to attend my live performances. It hadn't been long since we'd gotten to know each other. Tears overflowed and wouldn't stop at the news of my own grandfather's death. On the day of the funeral, since I was his only family, I was the one who organized his funeral. Holding his portrait and drowned in sorrow, after the funeral ended, a man who said he had been a friend of the old man for years approached me.
You are Tom Johnson, aren't you?
Yes, that's me.
I was a good buddy of his, and we always drank tea together. Sometimes we'd chat in a cafe. He often talked about you, how his grandson was becoming a comedian and steadily gaining popularity. He was really happy to see you succeed.
My grandfather talked about me like that?
Yes, when he first met you, he reported to me how happy he was to have finally found his grandson.
Is that so? Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. The man smiled, nodded, and left. I truly felt grateful to having met my grandfather. In a way, it felt like a turning point in my life. Continuing to harness my grandfather's advice, I diligently worked to craft my comedic skits and performed live. While I haven't achieved a huge popularity yet, I feel that I'm gradually making progress. Steadily, I'm heading towards the goals I've set for myself. Recently, I've even developed a new routine. Before going up on stage, in the backstage, I clutch the charm in my trouser pocket and vow to myself to give it my best shot for the day. That charm was a gift from my grandfather when he was still alive.
All right, I'm going to make the audience laugh.
With that determination, I'll go up on the stage once again today.